3 years ago, Marty Grant had had enough. A young farmer struggling to make ends meet, battling drought, failed crops, relationship issues, he felt helpless and worthless. In his eyes, he was a failure.
I got to a stage where I just wanted to stay in bed and not do anything, go anywhere. I wasn't sleeping, became angry, moody, totally opposite to my normal nature. It got to a point where I was going to hang myself.
In Marty's mind, suicide was the only option. What he was suffering was full-blown depression.
When you get depressed, all you think about is that must be something definitely wrong with you as to why things go wrong. And all you do is you just spend the whole time thinking negatively about yourself and painting yourself out to be really bad and hopeless, useless, and all this sort of thing. And you end up spending that much time thinking, you physically make yourself sick. I mean, I got to the stage where my head just felt like it was going to explode. I'd just been thinking that much. And it did make me physically ill. And the only way that I could stop that was to kill myself.
He came perilously close. In the end, he realised he couldn't do that to his family, but he knew he was desperately in need of help.
So the next step was to go off and seek medical help, which I did. And through the cognitive therapy and everything, I've come through it fairly well. I wouldn't say it's totally disappeared. I still get a bit depressed sometimes, but now I know how to handle it, to cope with it a bit more and think a bit more positively.
Today, Marty is still on medication and he's taken a job in the resource industry, 2 weeks at the mine site, a week back at the farm. It's not ideal, but it's helping him get back on his feet. The secret, Marty now knows, is talking and sharing his worries.
Talking to mates is the only way to go. It's a cheap option and it's always fail-safe. It works. It worked for me.
These days, Peter Boyle knows all about depression, but not so long ago he had no idea how unwell he was. His eyes were opened when he went to visit a neighbour who'd suffered a breakdown and was just home from hospital.
So when I found out he was coming home, I just dropped in, had a chat, and we talked for probably 2.5 hours, and I found that I was nearly as at the same level of stress that he was, and so I got a lot of benefit out of it myself.
It was the wake-up call Peter needed. He was so wrapped up in running his farm, he'd seriously neglected his health.
Locking it up, keeping it to yourself, it seemed to be, not sharing it with anybody else. It wasn't anything to do with tough times or anything, it was just letting things build up and not getting rid of them.
For Peter, sharing his feelings and experiences with his neighbour were crucial to beginning his own recovery.
And so I also rang a couple of his friends, and they went over and saw him over the next couple of days, and then we all caught up at a clearing sale, and I found out they had very similar experiences to me, that they all didn't realise that they were so close to just crossing that line. If you ask someone to help you, you're actually helping them. You'll find 9 times out of 10 you're actually helping them, because it's a rewarding experience for both of you.
At the heart of the Working with Warriors program is one very important message. If you're feeling unwell, please ask for help. Talking to someone you trust or seeing your family doctor is a crucial first step.
We often say that a problem shared is a problem halved, and it is true that when we talk about it, we actually find we're not the only one in the district or the only one in the industry that's going through these difficult times. By talking about it, we actually build some resistance to going to that next step of saying, well, woe is me, this is self-destructive, I can't be bothered dealing with this, because collectively we can actually make a difference.
The Working with Warriors program has a simple 10-point checklist to help identify signs of depression.
Sometimes the signs are about feeling shaky inside. I'm just not comfortable about the future. Now, you don't have to have all these 10 things going wrong in your life to say, well, I might have some symptoms about depression. I might be struggling with the life I'm living. You can have 2 or 3 of those things going on, and if you feel that that's abnormal, that's when you need to talk to a mate, seek some help, go and do something about it.
Don't close down and don't try and solve it yourself. Once you start to come under pressure, don't try and solve it yourself, because you just close right down and it gets worse and worse and worse. So open up and throw the pride or the ego out the window.
These days, I always go and have a health check-up prior to harvest and prior to cropping. So I go twice a year and just, you know, like I go and he checks me blood pressure and does the usual thing, and then I ask him how he's going. And it's interesting how I've changed my attitude.
The most important thing was that what we were dealing with at the time, we dealt with. And if we couldn't handle it ourselves, we found somebody that helped us handle it.
Going in and seeing a psychologist is just like popping the bonnet, and he has a look through, sorts things out, get your timing right, and you're away. But if you ignore that, well, you can end up in big trouble.
This, I think, is a unique program that I think can potentially add greatly to the programs that are out there already, because there's nothing like it in any of the other states. So part of why we've taken some initiative here is that you know, by producing this DVD, we're in a position to demonstrate to a whole range of different people what this program's about and how it works.
Keep putting out the message to communicate, talk to one another, you're not alone. We're all there to help each other. Just put your hand up.